Yo YouTube, this is my video for yesterday, which was Thursday the 30th of May. Happy birthday to my eldest daughter, who was 21, or is 21 now. So what did happen? So I did my multi-drop day, my second multi-drop day, and I'll give you my stats for that day, and then just a few little notes about what happened. So I'm basing my fuel costs on 15.09 pence per mile. I drove 87 miles yesterday. That was from my door in the morning back to my door in the afternoon. I worked for 9.5 hours. My gross pay was £230, 230, and I only spent £13.13 on fuel, which meant that I netted after fuel £217.217. It was a shorter route yesterday than my previous day. I also was more in tune with the app yesterday. Also, there wasn't any major delays. I didn't make any major mistakes, like forgetting to pick up a parcel in the morning. So it was a much quicker day. So times-wise, I started loading my van. I arrived on site at 8:08, and for this particular work or company, there's quite a small site, and because I'm a subcontractor, not a main driver, I don't get to sort of get my van loaded first. I get to load my van last. So I didn't get started loading until 8:45, and I was out of the yard, started my route at 9:53. So it was about an hour again of actual loading the van and scanning the parcels, putting them in order and loading them. But this time I was more methodical about it and a bit more. I wasn't rushing so much because I was right at the end. I was sort of one of the last three vans. I had plenty of space, and so I was able to put a little more space. I put my parcels on the van in the right order, and I didn't worry about doing like one sort of 19, 20, 21 in exactly the right order, but I definitely put them in roughly the right order so that I knew roughly where to find everything, and it worked really well. I had quite a lot of large items and a few heavy things, which meant that my van got quite full, but luckily the large stuff, I had like 14 big boxes for one stop, and luckily that was within my first 10 stops. So within about sort of 7 or 8 stops, my van was half empty. So I think because there was a lot of bulky stuff at the start of my route, I didn't get that many stops to do just because of the volume of stuff I was taking. So the number of stops I was given was 44, and I only had in the end one collection, so it's 45 in total. And yeah, so I basically finished my route at just before 4 o'clock. And then I got myself back to the depot by 4:15. I signed out and I was on my way home. And I got home about 5 o'clock. The only issue from my point of view for that day was that my back was hurting pretty much from the get-go. It didn't get worse through the day, it just was quite bad in the morning, and then just carried on being the same all the way through. And I thought I'd better just tell a bit more about that issue. Having a bad back is not a prerequisite of doing multi-drop work. That's a peculiarity of me and my body. So most people won't have an achy back when they do this job. I've always had back problems. It's muscular. It's probably something to do with my weight as well and my lack of flexibility. But I've always had back issues. And if I'm doing constant physical activity, I think what causes it in this particular case is the getting in and out of the van every sort of 2 or 3 minutes and carrying reasonably heavy items, bending down, picking up and stuff. So it's not, I can't mitigate it by bending my knees, because I do that anyway. It's the whole non-stop activity that I'm just not good with. And when my back is hurting at the start of the day, it doesn't get any better. So it's nothing to do with the job in itself, it's just to do with me and my body, and that particular job doesn't really suit it. The other thing I wanted to mention was one of my videos was about getting stuck at a railway crossing. This was the day before. And I wanted to reflect. When I got to the actual farm, it was a very remote farm track, probably 2 or 3 farms, but nothing else down this track. Probably about a mile from that crossing, or just a single track road. When I got there, the customer told me that a lot of drivers are now not crossing the railway tracks, that they're basically giving up, and they're saying, taking a photo of the crossing and saying unable to deliver. And the only reason I mention this is I think A, that's really appalling. It's not good service, it's not what we're paid to do. But B, I know why they do it. It's not going to be, I'm sure some people working for the company I work for doing 40 or 50 stops a day. It's when you've got people doing 100 stops and 200 stops a day, they haven't got time in their day to sit for 10 minutes at a crossing. They haven't really got time a day to sit at a crossing for 2 minutes. So it's the companies that don't allow for those issues that then force, in inverted commas, the drivers to make what I would say is a poor decision. Now, if it was me, when I did that job, I would make sure I got everything delivered, all the time. And at the start, when I first did the job, I could do that and get everything finished in time. But as they sort of try to get more value out of the drivers, you have to do more work and then they reduce the time to 10 hours, maximum 10 hours, which is the legal requirement for driving. But they enforced that when I was with them, and then they didn't decrease the number of stops. So it just became, in my mind, a race to a robotic approach to customer service, which meant that as a driver you ended up being in a no-win situation. You either didn't deliver and got criticised, or you did deliver and got criticised because you were too slow. So I did it for 4 years. I think that's a pretty good track record. A lot of drivers don't last that long. Some people last longer, but I think over time the company I work for will just always innovate and change what they're doing, and then eventually you can't achieve what they're trying. Yeah, I'm waffling a bit here, but I don't want to go into too much detail. But basically, it becomes impossible in my mind. Or you have to make shortcuts, take shortcuts, and do it sort of surreptitiously so that no one knows, and then that's just not the way to feel good about your job. Right, moving on. So I did say at the start of this video about the amount of money I earned, which was in the end net £217, and that made me reflect upon the pros and cons of the pay. So in terms of the pay, it's not fixed. I'm sure the drivers that are employed get nothing like that, but then again they get holiday pay, they get sickness, they get pension, and they don't have to pay for their own vans. All the vans they use are rented. So the reason why a subcontractor gets more money per day is to cover the costs that they have to endure. So the pay is reasonable, I would say. £230 for a 10-hour day. I'm okay. Personally, I'm okay with that. But that is a ceiling. You're not going to earn more than that. You might earn, you might get maybe a tenner more, or maybe £20 more. But in a day, you're not going to earn any more than that as a subcontractor doing multi-drops for someone else. So whereas doing same day deliveries, you can earn more than that in a day. And if you get your own customers and you get better at doing the job, you can earn significantly more than that on average each day. But on the opposite side, on the plus side, it's also guaranteed. If you have a job and you're subcontracting out, and you've got you've got a day's work, you know you're going to get paid providing you complete the job. Whereas with same day courier work, nothing is guaranteed. So today I am not doing this multi-drop. I'll tell you about that in a moment. So today I've got no guarantee that I'm going to earn the same amount as I earned yesterday, but I might earn more. And if you can cope with that uncertainty, that's another reason why multi-dropping is not necessarily the greatest job for you. But if you can't, that's the reason why it might be. Alright, so coming back to my last bit then, why am I not doing multi-drop today? Basically, I was told I wasn't needed for today. I was told yesterday by the agency that they didn't need me for doing multi-drop today, Friday. So on the Thursday, I was looking on CX for jobs, and I got a job for this morning to do instead. It's not a big one, but it gets me started. It gets me out early, which is what I'm doing now. So I'll tell you about that in tonight's video. But that's my video for Thursday. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope that you are being successful, however you define that term for yourself. Farewell, friends.